So I figured. And we shall try that one again. What do you think?
You're not fully fit, are you? You're not firing on all cylinders, are you? Let's be honest. You keep telling people you're back to normal, but you're not.
You know what? I started work at 5:45 this morning, and it is 7 o'clock on Tuesday, the 9th of March. And welcome to Seedcast. It is Anthony Baker here, and I'm joined, as always, by the esteemed, the glorious, the fantastic, the forever wearing ridiculous shirts, John Fuggles.
I'm not going to answer that, and I'm not even sure I really truly know what esteemed means. I think I've got my own idea, but maybe I'll look it up afterwards. Maybe I won't like you anymore.
To be honest, it was the first thing that came to my head, and you're 100% right. I'm on 80%, and we're really busy. This is busy. We've got lots of exciting stuff happening, but we do this every Tuesday at 7 o'clock, and to be honest, I quite look forward to it. I mean, we've been doing our daily baits on Monday and Tuesday in the morning together. Yep. We also have a coffee with John and Joella and myself on a Friday at 10:30. But I quite like it, actually. I quite like the opportunity to be able to be creative and not really have to think about it. Does that make sense?
Yes. No, I know exactly what you mean. But some of the best stuff comes from the hip, right? Sometimes you can be too organized, too kind of polished and all that. You know, I've seen presentations where clearly people have practiced and practiced and practiced. They kind of lost the very essence of what it is they're trying to do. So, I'm not saying I'm all for improv, but certainly sometimes you can go too far the other way.
So we're live tonight. Are we live on Clubhouse?
No, I'm just trying to sort that out now. But carry on.
I wonder what you're trying to do, because the for those guys that watch this, I've got my laptop in front of me there, and my main screen is there. So if ever I'm looking there, I'm looking at details. But if I'm looking there and I'm talking to you over there, it looks a bit weird. But right now I can see you trying to figure something else out at the same time and it not look like you're doing it. But welcome to Seedcast, guys. We are on Seedcast. It is a conversation that John and I have about what's going on in the local, what's happening in the press, what's happening in the world, and just our general view of what things are coming on and what things are moving forward. And do we have a platform for doing it?
Yes, we do.
Yeah, we do. Seedcast. So we do enjoy this. We do it. This is very interactive as well, guys. So if you are watching this on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, Carrier Pigeon, Twitter. Snail, Twitter, or you're watching it where you're on the moon, please feel free to jump onto the chat and chuck a post on. I will open up my Facebook as well on my computer. So if you're on Facebook and you want to get involved in hurling some abuse at us, we are here and we're ready for it.
Yeah, absolutely. Sorry, I am multitasking.
John's trying to do something. So do you want me to just carry on?
No. I'm just setting up the Clubhouse room because I was running a bit late today because day 2 of back to school and things are still a bit up in the air. But anyway, I will.
How is it going back to school, John? At your age, is it? I mean, what are you trying to do?
Thank you very much. No car crashes today, 2 yesterday, and none of them involving me or I had anything to do with.
That's because yesterday was International Women's Day and all the women were out driving around. Today, not so much.
I can't believe you just said that. I mean, so I'm going to stop doing that.
You can ignore that.
So
if you're watching this on Clubhouse, by the way, guys, we're live through Seedcast and we're watching it. We're live predominantly through Facebook and LinkedIn, but we do share this through the Clubhouse platform as well. So if you're on Clubhouse and you're trying to put your hand up and talk to us, I'm pretty sure John might be able to figure that out, but ultimately that is not something that interacts with this platform that we're using.
We're normally, look, let's be honest, we talked earlier about scripts and not scripts and being kind of doing this very kind of unstructured, and by unstructured we know what we're going to talk about, but that's kind of it.
Yeah.
I'm demonstrating the point that I am very unstructured this evening, so that's bad for me. That's a black mark against John Fuggles. Thank you very much. Don't do that again. Apologies.
Perfect. Well, let's not continue talking about it, right? You're unorganized. Just get on with it. So we want to. Funny enough, I can hear myself talking back as well.
Oh, have you got your phone next to you? Anyway, one of you is enough. We don't need 2 of you in the room.
One of 2. Can you imagine 2?
No.
One's a charm, two would be just horrendous. So we want to talk about two things today. The first one is habits. So we want to. I can hear myself. Is there volume on there?
Yes. Otherwise, I won't be able to hear you, will I?
Okay, yeah, because I can hear myself twice. Can anybody else that's watching this hear twice? This is seamless. This is what's going to get us to Pulitzer Prize.
Well, there's a vacancy at Good Morning Britain or whatever it was.
Yeah. Piers walked off, so I'm happy to jump on. In fact, I do enjoy that, but it's like
I've never seen it. Just read the headline.
You should watch it. It's good. Okay, so we're going to talk about habits.
Yes.
What has changed? What kind of because and I'll tell this story. I've told this story before, but I'll tell it again. But when NASA were going to fly to the moon, they didn't really know what they were going to get. No one really knew what was going to happen when they left our atmosphere and they moved into space. So they did all these tests on astronauts, and one of the tests that they did was quite unique. So what they did is they took 30 astronauts. They gave them convex glasses that turned the world upside down and inside out, putting these glasses on. And they couldn't see anything outside of these glasses. They put all 30 of these astronauts. After 15 days, they took off half of the astronauts' glasses for a day and then put them back on, whereas the other half kept the glasses on. After 30 days, the brain turned the world back to normal and up the right way. So that is where the 30-day phenomenon came from. That is where
it's a bit like going to France and driving on the wrong side of the road. Is that what you're saying?
100%, but less hairy women. So they turned the world, and it turned the world back up to space, and that is where the 30-day phenomenon came from.
Okay.
So it is a general practice for practitioners like yourself, coaches like yourself and myself, and all this sort of stuff, to put something into practice for 30 days, consistently for 30 days, without a break, to make a change.
And that's the point, right? Between the first lockdown and now, even this current lockdown in the UK, 30 days is we've had a lot longer than that. And that's the point. We've all developed habits, either because we've chosen to or because we kind of had no choice, right? And habits aren't necessarily what you do. They're also the things you don't do. So we're in a situation where most of us are not commuting to work. Some people are, and thank goodness they've kept the wheel of the industry going, while the rest of us are sat at home trying to keep our particular wheel of the industry going. We developed habits of not commuting. Now you've got to get back into the habit of commuting. And BP came out today and said everyone's just going to work from home 2 days a week. So it's going to be a fractional kind of relationship with the office. But that's still a habit that people have got to get back into, the commute. It's going to be hard work. And then there's going to be the other habits. We have and we use and we are too reliant on the technology. How many emails a day do you get when we say, let's get on a Zoom call, let's get on a Teams, why can't we just do a phone call? I will send you an email. I don't need to talk to you, So we've developed some habits that are changing the way we work. We've developed, and some of those are good and some of those are bad. We've developed habits how we eat, diet and things like that. We're all eating at home, which is probably, if you're sensible, is healthier. But actually, a lot of people just are now doubly busy and don't have time, so they're eating less healthy. So that's what I'm talking about, habits. Instead of waiting for someone to say, right, we're going back to work, let's get back to work, or we're going to move your office, or want you to work 2 days from home, or all of those things. The gym is now open. You don't have to kind of go and do squat jumps in the back garden. All of those things. Instead of waiting for those things to happen, identify the good habits and work out how to retain them, and identify the bad.
How are you going to know that? How are you going to know that? I'll tell you what was interesting, right? My daughter's, your daughter's back to school. My kids are all back at school. So my daughter's 16 years old. She goes to a school, like a nice school, 25 minutes away. So she has to get a bus pretty early. So she's 16. When I was 16, I lived in Hawaii. I was flying around the world windsurfing. All the things that I probably can't mention on here get up to. But so she's gone from sitting in her bedroom doing coursework, talking to people on Instagram or on that, to having to interact with people daily. So can you imagine being 16, having this happen to you? I mean, we were talking at dinner today, because we sit down at dinner. We eat dinner quite early at the house, 5 o'clock. And we're sitting down with the kids and talking. And we were talking about this Meghan Markle thing. And we're not going to get into that because we're not going to. But I said, your opinion is, the way that you look at it is going to be the different to the way that I look at it because of your experiences and so on. She says, yeah, you're just looking at a really old-fashioned way. And I was like, Well, that's fine, but it's different. I said, so we don't even know what the impact is going to be on our kids, the impact that it's going to have. All of a sudden, putting them back in school. I mean, my 15-year-old is already fairly antisocial. He's difficult to deal with at the best of times. I can only imagine what he's like at school.
What his peer group, right? Yeah, it's a feed.
Exactly. Well, they're a year of their life, 8% of their life is spent sat in their bedroom looking at Instagram.
You think they're looking at Instagram in the bedroom, right?
Just really quickly, Ali, great to have you back on, Ali. And like we said, we do like interactive, and I'll get back to you, John, on that one. But you pick up a lot of habits from your colleagues. You spend most of your time a day with your colleagues. Yep. At home, you'll sleep in the toilet or eating. You don't interact with people at home as much as you do at work. It's strange to think that I started my new job last month and I've only been in the office 2 days a week, and I'm picking up some bad habits already. I think he's right, Ali. You're right. Thank you for your post. But we talk a lot, John. Right? We're interactive. If I saw you, we would be able to carry this conversation. But we talk a lot, and we're kind of on the same ballpark. But I think a lot of people miss the opportunity of being able to have the interaction. I mean, what do you think? Go for it.
Well, absolutely. Look, we're social animals, right? The reason things like coffee shops exist isn't because they sell, nice coffee at cheap prices. Some of it is awful coffee and none of it's cheap. But it's a social sort of melting pot. You can listen to conversations, and I don't mean, in detail, just the general hubbub. So, we are social animals. Not interacting with people is a nightmare. The most exciting thing we do today is go to the shops and ignore people. But to Ali's point, he said, you pick up bad habits from colleagues at work. Well, why are you picking up bad habits? Why don't you take a good habit and impose a good habit on them? There is no reason why habits you pick up from work have to be bad habits. They can be good habits. I'm not saying, all go super healthy, tofu salad for lunch. I'm not saying you do that, but I'm saying you have a choice about which habits you carry on with post all this pandemic, which habits you realize are bad and you jettison. So you mentioned you have dinner, you have lunch with your family. Great. Well, the children are back at school. It's now difficult to have lunch with your family again. But so you have no choice there. But you still have a choice about how you have dinner. You still have a choice about what you eat. You still have a choice about how much you walk. You go to any park, at the weekend, it's absolutely awash with people sort of just walking. That's a good habit. It's countered by a bad habit that Monday to Friday we don't walk. We just sit in a chair in front of a telly called a computer screen. But if you can keep that good habit of walking at weekends and then add on, commuting and working and being more sociable, you've got rid of one bad habit, sitting on your backside all day long, and you've retained a good habit, which is exercising. So to Ali's point, I get it. You get habits from colleagues, but if they're bad habits, don't let them in, right? Just shut them out and impose good habits. And that's what I'm saying about changing habits. Now is a good time to kind of go, this is what I do, which is good. This is what I do, which is bad. Right. Okay. So don't wait for your employer to say, this is what you're going to do. Don't wait for the schools to say, this is what you're going to do. Don't wait for society generally to say, this is what you can do. Have a plan that makes sure that at the end of this, you have a healthier life, a better life, a fitter life. You eat healthier, exercise more, etc., etc.
So we, you and I, we have time to meetings a day. I started stupid o'clock this morning. Our company meeting every morning is at 8:30. Well, before we were in lockdown, all that sort of stuff, I never saw anybody in the office till 11 o'clock. Because we work in consultancy, or they wouldn't even come in. So we now, everybody starts work at 8. I mean, I'm going to be working after this. I'll finish at 8:30, 9 o'clock. There's normally, if I was in London, which I will go back to doing 2 or 3 days a week, and I'll just stay in London. But normally, I would be on a 2-hour commute, which separates my home life with work. I mean, today at lunchtime, we'd done like 15 interviews. I'd had loads and loads of calls. I was already done at 8 hours of work, and then a friend of mine came around and we went for a walk, half-an-hour walk. And Nat said something to me, and I snapped at her because she didn't really mean anything by what she said, but I just instantly snapped. And then when I was walking, I was like, you know what, that was quite rude actually. When I get back after, because you don't have that separation. All of a sudden, you know, my office is here, my bedroom is below over there. So I will be sleeping tonight 15 feet away from where I'm talking to you right now.
But that's the point. That's a bad habit, right? That's something that you've inherited, you've brought in, you've created because of the work environment. Now, you might not think of it as a habit, but it's become a habit. You know, the separation between business life and personal life are now too close. I start every day, you know, not at my desk. I have about an hour in a different part of my house, you know, with a laptop, doing something fundamentally different.
In the West Wing.
In the West Wing. But I do something fundamentally different that's not my day job, if you like, you know, that gives me that separation. It's like a mental commute. I've got that hour. Well, it's not an hour, but, you know, time I've had my coffee and toast. Yeah. But it is that separation of, I haven't got up and just switched the computer on. You know, how many? I don't have a mobile phone next to my bed. I hate the idea of a mobile phone next to your bed. You know, people wake up in the morning, they switch your phone on. The last thing at night is turn the phone off. Why? You know, it's a business device, right? So put it in the business room and keep it away from your bedroom. But that's a whole different story. What I'm saying is, you know, to your point, that's a habit you've got in. So you know, go for a walk on the days you're at home. You know, when you've finished and wrapped up for the day, go for a walk, or you know, just go and sit in the garden and read a book for 10 minutes, 20 minutes, but create that separation, because that's a habit that you've inherited, that you've developed. And we're all going to have them. So identify them now and make the changes, because now's the time to make the changes, because we are going through a process of change.
Yeah. So you know, I think that, you know, travel, all that sort of stuff, everybody's in a different environment. You know, I was talking to somebody today on the phone, a friend of mine who lives just a little bit inland, Kev, and we were chatting, and I haven't seen him for a while. He lives near the beach, and he's moved inland a bit, and he's like, well, you can't go out, no one goes out. And I'm like, I'm sitting in my lounge looking at hundreds of people walking up and down the beach, and I'm like, who are these people? Are not all local. You know, they are people that come from a distance, and they walk it up and down the beach, and you know, it's different in different areas that you're in, right?
Well, I think there's a different people interpret it differently. You know, the way I see it, the regulation says you're allowed to exercise +1. It doesn't have to be the same +1. So I do business meetings walking, you know, and it's great, and it's good exercise. The clients enjoy it. You know, my colleagues enjoy it. It's a great way to get out and exercise and be productive in terms of work as well. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's difficult taking notes, but why not, right? You know, but if they've chosen the +1 must be the same +1, and it can't be blah blah blah. Okay, that's fine. That's your interpretation. But if he's sat at home, well, he's got some habits that he needs to change, because that's not healthy. So now he should think about how he's going to correct that. And that's what I'm saying is, we are going through a process of change. So plan ahead, look ahead, and think, that's good, I'll keep doing that. That's bad, I'm going to stop doing that.
Yeah. So okay, cool. So habits are going to change, and things need to change. I mean, that always. Here we go, Ali on again. This is going to be a new norm. Christ, did you see that thing? Who was that? Was that me that posted it earlier on? I think I shared it from someone, and it had it had Samuel L. Jackson from when he from what's that movie with John Travolta in back in the day?
Reservoir Dogs?
No. John Travolta, where he's like dancing and stuff, and it's got Samuel L. Jackson's a hitman in it.
Kill Bill?
No. Anyway, whatever it is, and it's got Sam, and he's like, say this is the new norm one more time, and I'm gonna shoot you. And Ali just said it, so congratulations, Ali. Thanks for that. This is going to be the new norm. Unfortunately, a lot of businesses have identified why pay a larger amount of. I mean, we've still got an office, Ulysses. We rent in that office. In our building, there's something like 50 people in the whole building, and there'd be thousands in it. Yes, you can save money from doing it, but what is the cost? If, as a recruiter, as a salesperson, the cost of me not having my staff in an environment where they can learn from me, they can educate from me, they can get work ethic from me, is greater than what it costs to rent an office.
For you, maybe, and for them at their point in that career, yes, but it doesn't always work. You know, look, if you're 3 people in an accountancy department, I don't know why I picked accountants. Sorry, it's all accountants out there.
There's no accountants who've got this far into this show, John. Let's just be honest. Yeah.
But look, do you all need to be near each other? Are you going to learn off each other? Not really. You know, if you're in a telesales department, do you need to? No. I mean, you ring direct inquiries. They're all at home. You might think that when you ring, 151 or whatever it is, 192, I can't remember what it is. Don't use it. You know, they're not. They're sat at home. They've got a computer and it routes the calls to people sat at home. A lot of jobs you don't need to be around someone every day. But I get your point in terms of career development. Yeah, absolutely, it matters.
But for mental health as well, should we be satisfied that the people that are working for us are sitting in a room next to where they sleep?
No. So the company has to offer people the choice, right? So I can give you an example of
give people the choice what they're going to take.
No. Well, you give them the choice. Then it's up to them what they think. But I can think of someone I know who lives in a small apartment. So his company said, look, we don't want you back in the office. So he's found a local office he can rent. And he's doing that. And the company's agreed to, I don't know what the commercials are, but the company's agreed to do something. So I think there will be people with the facilities to do something. You have your loft, I have this room, but most people don't. A family of 3 lives in a 3-bed house, right? Or 2-bed house. A family of 4 lives in a 3-bed house, 2-bed house. The reality is none of us, pretty much a small percentage of us, have a house that is significantly bigger than we need. Therefore, we're geared up for this. And don't forget, in terms of health and safety at work, you're supposed to have a proper chair, a proper height desk, somewhere to rest your feet. Good. The screens can't be near a window. Blah blah blah. Well, we kind of threw those rules out the window 9 months ago, and we just work from home. And there are people still sitting on a dining chair, working at a dining table next to a window. That's not good. And it's certainly not good for security as well. So we're going to have to kind of make some rules or start applying the rules as well. So companies should give people a choice. If you can work from home 2 days a week, if you can, great. I know I was talking to a lady the other day. She's setting up an online survey company where they do remote surveys for people working from home so the company can tick off the health and safety bit. I don't know. I'm rambling.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Well, habits we've done. Okay, so we move on. Next subject, last subject. So this is something that I'm quite interested about. So we are a year of lockdown, right? A year ago, I was in New York when people started dying from COVID, and I had to leave New York to come back to the UK. In that year, has your company looked after you? Have they made it safe, kept your environment safe? Have they kept paying you correctly? Have they furloughed you and kept training you? What has your company done? And are people now starting to go, cool, you know what? I didn't really get looked after. I've been paid and I've been on holiday for a year, but I haven't really been looked after. Do I start looking across the fence and going, is it going to be greener elsewhere?
Well, I think, first of all, you've got to cut the employers a little bit of slack. I get it. You've had 9 months. We have no career development. We've paid you the bare minimum, blah, 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 blah. And we've asked you to work more hours because it's tough. I think you need to cut the employers some slack because, it's tough for them as well. But I think, to your point, is the grass green on the other side? I would say, ask them the question. All right. So it's been tough. Now, what are you going to do to not compensate for the kind of quiet times, but what are we going to do to sort of get things back on track in terms of my personal development, in terms of my career opportunities, in terms of, and look forward rather than look back. But, if they have looked after you dreadfully, you've had to take a pay cut. Oh, we want you to work more hours. Oh, and by the way, on the whatever it is of June, back in the office, bosh, you kind of might go, well, it's not a very caring, sharing kind of company, is it?
But it's difficult, isn't it, for the client, for the employer, because of the situation everyone's in. But I think, let's look at this as a career progression time. I mean, I was doing a reference to somebody today, someone that worked with me, a very good person, and the questions they were asking they said, like, he's only done like a year and a half at each company. So on paper, that looks like he's moved quite a lot, but really, the guy's improved his situation through the time that he was there. He's increased his salary every time he's been there. He's performed well while he was at those locations, and to be honest, they weren't all that fantastic. So his career change, is a personal thing. Actually, Ali was just saying that you can work for an Australian company without having to physically be in Australia. Ali, I do some recruitment in Australia, and Lissus has got an office out there, and I do quite a bit of stuff there, and I have to get up at 4 o'clock in the morning to do it. Hence the reason why I can barely speak now. So trust me, if you want to work in an Australian company, go to Australia. The time difference is too radical, man. If
you want to sleep when it's light and work when it's dark. I mean, I've got somebody I know, friends there to Barbados later this year. But he's actually going to be working. They're going there for a few months, I think 3 or 4 months. And it's just something they want to do. And with everything that's gone on. But he's going to have to stick to UK time for work. So he's going to get up at 4 o'clock in the morning work, but he'll be done by lunchtime and on the beach. Happy days. Yeah. I think you can do that for a while, but not necessarily forever.
I quite fancy the Canaries, buying a place in the Canaries and, going out there and having an office in the house. And, you can buy a nice house for 200-300 grand.
I've worked, overseas while still working in the company. We used to have a house overseas, and I once had my boss ring me and said, "Where are you?" I said, "I'm working at home today." And he went, "Why is the ringtone funny?" I went, "Well, it's because it's Ukrainian ringtone." And he went, "You said you work from home." I went, "I am."
Yeah,
he wasn't that impressed, but they defined what home meant, I suppose.
Yeah,
I mean, it has been tough for employers, right? But I'm not saying give in to them, but ask them what their plans are. And so I was listening to Sonia Ricotti earlier on whilst driving the car, and she talks about a guy had lost his job, and he's like, "Oh, I've been there 10 years and they fired me." Well, it all comes then down to attitude. It's like either, "Oh, what am I going to do? I've been there 10 years. It's terrible." Or the attitude is, "Well, hang on a minute. Let me think what the HR director was thinking when he decided to get rid of me. Let me think why the finance director has decided, they've got to make these cuts. Let me think about what position the chief exec is in right now, and stop doing the woe ho me and start thinking about the bigger picture, and then kind of go, okay, I get it now, forward, better, bigger, better, and onward."
And there are opportunities out there. I think, we have opportunities coming in for Lissus all the time. We have, people that, there might not be the same amount of money out there to spend, and people have to be a little bit more realistic about what they do. And IR35 is making changes and all this sort of stuff. But there are opportunities for people to be able to change their careers. There are pilots in this world that cannot be pilots anymore. That need to retrain and do something else, but they're smart enough to be able to do that. And yes, it might take a salary change, it might have an income adjustment, but there are, someone said to me recently, or not recently, but that, if you don't start your degree now and you don't start it for a year, you still won't have a degree. But if you start it now, you still won't have it in a year, but in 3 to 4 years, you'll have it. If you don't start it, you won't have it. So it's the same thing as trying to make a change. There's no time like the present to look at it and see what adjustments you can make. And if you've been furloughed for a year and or for however long, 6 months, whatever it was, and you wait until they're going to bring you back from furlough to make a decision what change you want to make, then and you literally have been sitting around not doing anything, then the egg's in your face, right?
Yeah, no, I mean, you ever heard the phrase job security? I'm not sure it applies anymore. We can, there are lots of jobs where it's not quite, good for life, but it'll keep you a long time. But the reality is you have to take control of your future. Now, you might have a PAYE and you might have been working there for years and years and years, but unless you take control of the future, don't be surprised when someone comes along and says, "I'm sorry, we've just 130% tax benefit for investing in technology. You're not technology," go figure.
Yeah, 100%. Well, we get to the end. Our 30 minutes is up, John, and our 30 minutes of enjoyment that we have on Seacast. Remember, guys, we are sorry. Go.
I was going to say this is quite a serious one for us this evening. It's not normally this serious.
No, I just think that it's quite, it's quite relevant to some friends that I have that are going through a similar thing, and I think that we should sometimes look at the serious side of it. And ultimately, what we do for jobs is very serious. We look, you look at growth of a business and how they can grow and develop. I'm looking at people's careers, which is a huge change. Changing job is massive. If you don't have a job, and then I can get you a job, that is also life changing. So we do look at the serious side of business occasionally, guys. But CCAR, it is 7:30, Tuesday, the 9th of March. Summer is coming. It is board shorts weather soon. The budgie smugglers are on. We are out there. I'm not sure if I should fake tan myself up until I get my body back to where it needs to be. But John, it's always a pleasure.
This is my natural skin color, just to be clear. All right.
It is. It is. What about the shiny bit on top?
Thank you, mate.
Yeah, no problem at all. No problem at all. But we do love doing this, guys. This is a little bit of entertainment. And it's a little bit of fun for us. We do like talking about certain subjects, which is great. If anybody's got any feedback, please feel free to send a postcard letter to PO Box in the Maldives. But otherwise, we will take your feedback through our other channels. Have a wonderful evening, everybody. I'm going to crack on. John, always a pleasure. I'll see you guys soon.